Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss interest rate and inflation as they relate to capital budgeting. Now, interest rate and inflation basically relate to every topic, every finance, investment, savings topic. We have to deal with interest rate and inflation. So we'll explain what inflation is, what interest rate is, but in this session we will apply it from a capital budgeting perspective. Nevertheless, we have to explain briefly what is inflation. And of course, I'm sure you know what's the role of interest rate in capital budgeting, which is the discount rate that we use when we discount the payment. So let's start by introducing the topic from the idea from investment. When we invest, you earn interest. So when you put your money in the bank, you earn interest. But after you earn that interest, what could happen is inflation could reduce the actual purchasing power of that money. What does that mean? What does inflation mean? So you earned $20 in interest. Great. Last year, you could have walked into the supermarket and buy this basket of food. For how much? $20. That's last year. A year later, you earned $20 from your bank. Great. You went and you wanted to buy the same basket. You could not. Maybe you had to take the banana out and the orange because the $20 can buy you everything except the banana and the orange. What happened to your $20? Your same $20 that you were able to buy everything except the banana and the orange last year, you can do it this year. So you lost purchasing power. This is what inflation is. Inflation, because of inflation, simply put, what happened, the prices of everything went up, therefore you can buy less. Or you can take the bottle of water. Something has to be taken out. You cannot buy the same basket. So you lost purchasing power. Therefore, the key question is, how much purchasing power do you really gain after you invest? And how do we answer this question? Well, there's the nominal rate and there's the real interest rate. The nominal rate is the stated rate. The stated rate is what the bank will quote you. So if the bank is saying we will pay you 6%, that's the stated rate. That's the nominal rate. Stated means it's given to you, shown to you. That's the nominal rate, the stated rate. It's not adjusted for inflation. But we have to know our real rate. Real rate is the true increase in purchasing power. So the real rate is adjusted for inflation. So if there is inflation, they told you you will earn 6%, but after all said and done, actually you did not earn 6%. Most likely you earned less. And this is what we'll discuss in this session. The nominal rate versus the real rate, the stated rate versus the real rate, how do we compute them, and how do they relate to capital budgeting? Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
Whether you are taking a finance course or preparing for the CPA, CMA, or CFA exam, finance doesn't have to feel confusing or overwhelming. Most students struggle not because finance is too hard, but because concepts build on each other. Formulas change with one assumption, and classes often move way too fast to keep up. At Farhat Lectures, we slow the process down. We explain the intuition behind the numbers, why formulas work, what each variable means, and how everything connects to real decision. When the logic becomes clear, finance becomes simple and manageable. You stop memorizing and you start truly understanding. Ready for finance to finally click? Start your free trial at farhatlectures.com.
The first thing we are going to do is to learn how to compute the real rate, because the nominal rate will be given to you. The bank will tell you the stated rate or the nominal rate. So let's assume you invested $1,000. The nominal rate, the bank says I'll pay you 10%. Inflation is 6%. It means prices are going up by 6%. The future nominal rate after 1 year is how much? Is 1,000 times 10%, you have 1,100. Do you really have 1,100? Well, guess what? Prices increase by 6%. So what's going to happen is What used to cost $1 now cost $1.06. So what happened is your purchasing power, although you earned $100, but it's not going to buy you $100 worth of goods and services because prices went up by 6%. Therefore, what happened is you have to discount. What does it mean, discount? It means you have to reduce your purchasing power. So you do have 1,100, true, but really the real increase is after you discount, it means you reduce it by 106, the inflation, your real purchasing power is $1,037.74. Therefore, the real gain is how much? Is only $37.74. Therefore, what's the real return? The real return is approximately 3.8%. Hold on a second, they promised me 6 and I'm down to 3.8. What happened is the inflation ate up that return. Now, this is an approximate. Well, how do we compute it? There's a formula. The formula to compute the real rate is to take 1 plus the nominal rate, 1 plus the inflation rate, minus 1. So if we apply it, so if we take 1.1 divided by 1.06 minus 1, it's approximately 3.77. Now there's a quick method. You could also use the quick approximation method. And how do we do that? We'll take the real rate equal to approximately the nominal rate, which is 10% minus inflation, which will give us approximately 4%. 4% is approximately 3.8. Therefore, we would say approximately your real rate is 4%. Again, this is a quick approximation. On the CPA exam, on your finance exam, and a professional certification, make sure to use the real rate. So approximation is quick but less precise. The exact formula gives you the more accurate. Now in the real world, 4% versus 3.8, that's a huge difference when you add 6 zeros to the number that you are computing. So the difference increases when inflation is high, interest rates are high, so you have to use the formula anyway, but the difference could be much higher. Let's apply this concept to capital budgeting. Cash flow can be expressed either in nominal terms, which include inflation, or real terms, which exclude inflation. Remember, nominal measure in future dollar amount, include the effect of inflation. It's what you actually receive, the nominal amount. The real cash flow is measures in today's purchasing power. It's adjusted for inflation and what you can actually buy. Now, what you have to do is from a capital budgeting perspective, you have to be consistent. What does it mean, consistent? If you are using the nominal cash flow, you have to use the nominal discount rate. If you are using the real cash flow, guess what? You have to use the real discount rate. Mixing would lead to incorrect evaluation. So you cannot use the nominal cash flow and the real discount, or the real cash flow and the nominal discount. You cannot mix and match. So let's look at some numbers. Let's assume a company expect nominal cash flow 1,536,000. Inflation is at 5%, means inflation will eat up 5% of that money. Let's convert to real cash flow. To convert to real cash flow, we're going to take the nominal cash flow and discounted 1 plus the inflation. So the real cash flow is 1,536,000 divided by 1.05, which is 1,463,810. So what does that mean? It means you were promised 1,536,000. You indeed received 1,536,000, but the real value, when you go to the market to buy stuff, you can only buy stuff for 1,463,810. You lose purchasing power. Think in terms of goods. Let's assume today can buy you $1 can buy you one burger, which is, I don't know what type of burger you can buy for $1, but let's say that's the case. Next year, $1 buy you less than 1 unit. So if you go and you say, here's $1, they would say, no, and you need now $1.10 to buy that burger. So you lost purchasing power. So cash is the same, but purchasing power is not. So the general formula is you take your real cash flow. To compute your real cash flow, you'll take your nominal 1 plus I divided by the time. We're going to assume 1 period here for our purposes. So this is what we did. Now, sometime what happened is this: growing national cash flow. So sometime when you're working with a problem, they might say you're going to be receiving a certain amount of money every year adjusted for inflation growing at a certain rate. So how do we deal with this? So the initial cash flow is 1.5 million, and this cash flow will grow annually at 5%. Grow annually at 5%. Now, why they do that? They do that because also most likely the inflation rate is also 5%. So what would happen if they grow the payment at 5% and the inflation is 5%? Well, here's what happened. Let's compute what would happen. Let's look at the numbers first. After a year, you will have 1,500,000 times 1.05, the total amount that you would receive, 1,575,000 in nominal. Now remember, we have a 5% inflation. You discount that 5% inflation, you'll back to 1.5 million. What does that mean? It means the reason they say they're going to grow the payment by 5% is to adjust for inflation. Therefore, you are truly at 1.5 million. And oftentimes, when you go, most companies, when they sign a contract, they would say, we want the payment to be adjusted for inflation. They don't even place a percentage. They would say, whatever the inflation rate, CPI, consumer price index, happens to be, you will adjust the payment for that. Why? Because the person that's receiving the money, they want to protect their future income from being eroded by inflation. So if they think inflation is 5%, they would say your payment will have to increase by 5%. So we keep our real purchasing power exactly at 5%. Now let's talk about depreciation and inflation. Depreciation, when we talk about depreciation, it's based on historical cost. What does that mean? If you buy an asset for $50,000 and you depreciate it over 5 years, every year you will take $10,000 in depreciation. So your expense is fixed. Your depreciation expense is fixed. But what happens is replacement cost increases with inflation, but you are not replacing your asset. This $10,000 is a fixed cost. This creates a mismatch. Expense depreciation stay fixed and revenue rise with inflation, which is good. Inflation affect the project evaluation because for profitability analysis, you have a real economic gain because your expense is fixed, but your revenue, as long as it's adjusted for inflation, is going up. So ignoring inflation could overstate profitability and mislead decision investment. So let's assume a company bought a machine for $10,000. Depreciating this machine over 5 years using the straight line method, you will take $2,000 of depreciation expense every year. Let's assume this project had an annual revenue of $8,000 and inflation is 10%. So what happened is this company says, I want to increase my revenue. You're going to pay me a 10% increase every year. So revenue increases by 10%, and what's going to happen is your future revenue is $8,200, while your depreciation expense is the same, $2,000, because it doesn't change. What happened is your revenue went up by $8,800 adjusted for inflation. Your expense did not. So this is, you need to understand that depreciation is a fixed expense. It does not change with inflation. Let's look at an example where we use the nominal versus the real discounting and see that what difference does it make. So let's assume we have a project with an initial investment of $1,000. Okay, that's the negative cash at the beginning. The yearly nominal cash flow are 500, 600, and 500. The nominal discount rate is 14%, and the inflation is 5%. So let's look at the nominal approach. If we look at the nominal approach, we're going to take the nominal amount and discount them at 14% and subtract the initial cash flow. What we find out, the NPV is $52.47. Do we accept this project? Yes, we do, because the NPV is positive. Now, here's the real term. Convert everything to real terms. First, we have to convert the nominal rate to a real rate. So this is the formula, nominal rate divided by 1.05 raised to the period. We're going to find out that the real cash flow is, for year 1, 500 divided by 1.05 is 476.19. For year 2, we're going to take the 600 divided by 1.05 raised to the second power, which will be $544.22. And the third payment, Again, 500 divided by 1.05 raised to the third power, $431.92. So we took all these cash payments and we converted them into real cash payment by discounting. And obviously, the discounted amount will be less. I want to make sure you see this. Now, are we done yet? No, we have to convert the nominal rate into a discount rate as well. So converting the nominal rate, we're going to take 1.14, 1 plus the nominal rate over 1 plus the inflation minus 1. We will see that the nominal rate, the real rate is 8.57. 8.57 is the nominal rate. Now what do we do? Basically, if you remember the shortcut, 14 minus 5 equal to 9. It's not 9, it's 8.57. You have to be specific. I just am giving you an estimate in case you got like 7% or in case you got 10%. You know, your answer should be very close to 9, just in case you want to remember that. This is good for the estimate. The estimate can be used as a checkup on your computation. So the real approach will be MPV equal to negative 1,000. This does not change because the payment is being done today. Then you discount this based on the rate of 8.07. And guess what? MPV is $52.47. It's the same as long as you use the nominal rate with the nominal cash flow and the real rate with the real cash flow. It should be the same. It should be the same. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. Which of the following statement is correct? So here they're asking us about the real and the nominal. So you need to understand the difference between the real and the nominal. So real cash flow include inflation? No. Real cash flow is adjusted. Adjusted means inflation is taken out. We take the effect of inflation out. A is out. Nominal cash flow exclude inflation? No, nominal cash flow include, remember the nominal is the amount that the bank quoted you. It's the gross amount that you would receive from that cash flow. It include inflation. It doesn't take inflation into account. Out. Real cash flow reflect purchasing power. Is this a correct statement? Yes. Real cash flow adjusted for inflation. Real cash flow is adjusted for inflation. Therefore, it reflects the true purchasing power. Between A, B, and C, I'm going to keep C, but I'm going to check D. Inflation increases real cash flow. Come on. Inflation decreases real cash flow. Therefore, the answer is C. Now, if you are using Farhat lectures, you can ask the AI to explain this topic. It will explain it in depth, explain the correct and incorrect answer much more in depth, and more importantly, create a similar MCQ to this one. And the AI will create one so you could practice more to understand better and be ready for your exam certification. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't shortchange yourself. Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional resources, lectures, multiple choice exercises, true, false. You want to be as prepared as possible for your classes, for your professional certification, because the best investment you can make is invest in yourself, and God bless.